So we're just waiting for everyone to join. We're giving everyone like a minute, but we're here with SkinScript. We're here with Stacy and Michael. And if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Sam. I'm the host of the Esthetician Edit podcast. So I'll just like briefly introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. The Esthetician Edit podcast, we started it last year in January, and it used to be a blog, a part of La Nouvelle Esthétique and Spa magazine. And we are the company that puts on the ICES trade shows. So the magazine for years always served as like the communication piece to just educate estheticians year round. But as we know, technology is advancing and everyone's online. So we had the idea to come out with a podcast. I've been in the industry for 6 years, but it wasn't until a year and a half ago where I decided to become an esthetician myself because I was inspired by interviewing so many estheticians and being in the industry. So the podcast, if you guys listen to it, it's basically me interviewing estheticians, interviewing brands, and I'm very much the student just trying to learn and apply everything I learned to my business. I do have a salon suite where I work 3 days a week. And so this workshop is the first workshop. I had this idea of let me create a community and bring estheticians along for the ride with me instead of just learning on my own. It's a live podcast. So if you guys have questions, put them in the chat and I will be serving as the moderator and kind of just relaying to Stacy and Michael what it is that you guys want to ask them. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce SkinScript. If you don't know who they are a clinical skincare brand formulated for corrective aesthetics. When I think of SkinScript, I think of luxury. I think of botanical enzymes that smell delicious. I think of results-driven treatments.
Why can't I hear?
Very treatment forward. Oh, I'm sorry. I think if you are not on mute, please like put yourself on mute. And yeah, so that's what I think about when I think about SkinScript. And so the topic for today is treatment room systems that create growth. I think last year I became a solo esthetician and I was really focused on getting clients through the door that I skipped a lot of the fundamentals. So we're basically going back to the basics when it comes to this topic. And so without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Stacy and Michael.
Thank you so much, Sam. We are so excited to be here. Stacy, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure,
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Stacy Best Nervous. I'm the brand educator for SkinScript, and I just loved hearing Sam, just your background, because both myself and Michael, he'll share a bit more about himself. We also have our own businesses, our own practices as well. So, really excited to talk about those foundations and back to basics. But I've been an esthetician going on 8 years. Also have my own practice in Midtown Phoenix. And fun fact, I have utilized SkinScript before I even became an esthetician. So long in my home care. So definitely have a nice, well-rounded view of SkinScript and especially my treatment room. So really excited to talk about that today.
And I'm Michael Shuey. I'm the Director of Education here for SkinScript. I've been in the industry for about 22 years, very long time. I started off as a massage therapist, then became an esthetician. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, so I do a little bit of everything. I own a wellness center in Tempe where I still see clients. So both Stacy and I are in the treatment room a lot. I was just telling her the other day that I'm always learning. And, even doing this for so long, there are times when I get a new client that I get stumped a little bit and need to reach out to the community. So Sam, thank you for putting this on. So we appreciate it. So we're going to jump in here. MJ, do you want to put the presentation up? There you go. Sam, can you see that?
Not yet.
Okay. MJ, it's not projecting. Sorry, a little technical difficulty here.
If everyone wants to put in the chat where they're chiming in from. There we go. Allow. Okay, I just allowed you to share.
Okay, she just allowed us to share. You want to try resharing it? There it
And
goes.
it is sharing.
Okay, good. Yay. Okay, here we go. So when Stacy and I were putting this together, we were kind of looking at some of the common mistakes, and we're both going to kind of share our common mistake because I started as a solo esthetician. I never worked for anybody else, and I just kind of jumped in. I started massage first, but these are some things that I think are common problems that can happen. Not having a business plan. Yes. This is one I hear a lot about. You know, they're just like, hey, I just want to be in the treatment room. I'm just going to jump in, but not really have a plan. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. Purchasing too much product.
That was me. I purchased way too much. Some people probably joke if you probably met me at a trade show and you want to buy all the things, I literally will talk and coach you through like, what exactly do you need? But purchasing too much products or too much equipment is a big one. I think a lot of times we think, oh, we need this next piece of equipment or we need this specific product in order to draw in more clients or enable to like thrive our business. In reality, we have to go back to the basics. Use those hands, right? So that one was a definitely big one. I see this quite often, not only within our industry, but all business industries is discounting your services, which essentially discounts you as a provider. But that one is a really big one. We'll talk a lot about that just because sometimes we want to get many people in, but we're really not thinking about the quality of the services we want to provide. And then also making sure we're aligned with those clients.
That was one of my biggest mistakes when I started. I would do monthly specials and I trained my clients to look for the special. Right. And yeah, it was a big mistake. But so time management, this is huge. You know, you really not only in the treatment room, but making sure that while you're in your practice, you're, you know, if you're solo SD, you're doing everything. You're the janitor, you're the receptionist, you're the bookkeeper. And so making sure you're using that time very wisely. Same thing with social media.
Yes.
If you're on social media, is it for business or is it for pleasure?
Yeah. It starts off as business, right? It moves into pleasure. Improper sanitation practices. I think that's a really big one. I remember it just being drilled in my brain when I went to aesthetic school about sanitation.
I'm your teacher.
Yes. So that is always, you know, you never want to make shortcuts, right? Because it's going to catch up. You might think, oh, I'll get to it or I'll do this, but it really makes a difference. And your clients, they see it.
Yeah.
They see it, even though they might not say anything. You'll notice if they don't come back. So improper sanitation practices and not retailing. I think that's one that is a big mistake by everyone. It can be really scary.
I think that's the biggest fear. I was a director of education for a school for years, and new students were always so scared to retail. And you've just got to kind of figure that. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks on retailing, not rebooking. You know, you want to make sure before that client leaves, they're on your books, they're scheduled, ready to go. And then also not continuing your education. You know, it's so important to continue to learn. Our industry changes so much. So these are going to be some of the things that we're going to go through here.
So when we talk about back to basics, we talk about really setting those foundations. These are a few items that we're going to go through today. The first is setting sales and booking goals. I know a lot of people might say, Stacey, oh my gosh, I've already done a vision board. I don't want to talk about any goals. I just want to get started within the new year. Well, now's a perfect time to really set goals. And we're going to really talk about the intention about goals and what it's there for, especially if you might have a little anxiety, right? A little trepidation about setting a goal and not meeting it. So we'll talk through that. Also, effective ways of utilizing your back bar in retail. Remember, I mentioned a common mistake is buying too much. So how can you utilize effectively what you have in your back bar to really create those results for your clients? And then, of course, when you're creating a great service, you're providing those great results for your clients. You then are creating that client loyalty and how you can sustain that. So when we go into setting goals, maybe you guys can drop in the chat if you've set some goals or if you are a person that sets business goals for yourself. Would love to see where you all are. But this is one area where I believe people can get a little nervous about. When I say people, I mean me. I have the hardest time of putting myself out there, I would say, to actually set a goal. And then I get nervous if I'm not meeting it or something's not happening right. Kind of get overthinking. But that's not the goal of a goal. The purpose here is to really set yourself up where you can drive for success. Think of it as essentially like a roadmap. You are on your way to a destination, but sometimes you might have to make pit stops. Sometimes you might have to pivot, and that's okay. The goal is just giving you an idea of where you want to be at. And you need to set specific goals. So if you guys ever remember SMART goals or this little acronym, it is a great way to make sure you are not setting lofty goals. Sometimes we set goals that are completely unrealistic, and then we wonder why we're frustrated because we failed or we didn't reach it. So some examples of a SMART goal: SMART, S for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for relevant, and T for timely. So this is a way where, again, when you think of some goals that aren't very specific when it comes to your business, you'll notice you might have difficulty defining what it actually is and how to get there. If you have a goal, or maybe you've set some goals and maybe it's something reoccurring that you're having trouble with, take a look at this goal setting mechanism here to really align those goals better. So a couple examples would be, let's say you want to have a goal for when you reach out to clients. You want to set a mechanism, right, of why exactly am I reaching out to the client? When am I reaching out to the client? Specifically, if you want to increase your income. Maybe you're not as strong when it comes to retailing. Maybe you've gone to a couple classes, come to a few of our workshops. Maybe you have a goal for retailing with your sales and increasing. So on the screen here, you can see a quick example. I love this one for client outreach. Increase the number of clients who book follow-up appointments, let's say within the quarter. So these are those clients who maybe you didn't rebook them at the end of their service, and you've given them a time frame to rebook maybe within 2 weeks and you haven't heard back from them. This is a time where you can reach back out to them via phone call, which a lot of people actually enjoy. They like that touch base. Maybe it's an automated email or a text attempt. So these are just ways where you can put kind of that driver and see what happens. Have you ever had any issues with setting goals or concerns there?
I think I've gone through phases with it. When I first started, I was really bad with it. And then, as I've gone through my practice, I've started to track things more. And that's what it is. It's more about knowing, like Stacey said, where do I want to go and how am I going to get there? And being able to measure it, because I think that's the most important part is, am I headed that way? And if I'm not headed that way, what do I have to change? What do I have to pick?
Exactly.
Sam, any questions in the chat so far?
So just estheticians sharing their goals. So Alexis Doyle says, my goal is to continue to strategically market consistently, check my analytics bi-weekly. I'm building my business from the ground up in a new area. Takesha, I hope I said your name properly. I'm in the beginner stage of everything. I'm wanting to do relaxation facials. I have a cosmetology license. My goal is to have one client a day, Tessa says. So yeah, I will say even just myself too, like I think my goal for this year is more client retention so that I don't have to put so much energy into attracting clients. I think it's easier to retain them than to put a lot of energy in attracting them.
Definitely. We're going to talk about that with rebooking as we get in here too. So those are some great goals, fabulous goals. And I love the one who said relaxation facials. You know specifically what you're targeting there, what type of services you're going after, which is really great. So consultations. I think this is probably the most important part of working with a client because this is really your first impression when the client's coming in this first time. And I think this is an area where most estheticians rush through. First of all, if you're working for somebody else, you probably don't have the luxury to have a lot of time to do a consultation. Maybe your facial's 50 minutes and that is supposed to have a consultation within it. And you kind of have to expand that through your first service. I always tell my clients, your first service when you're going to come in, we're going to do a really great consultation. I'm going to talk a lot. That's not normal for most estheticians to talk, but if I'm kind of combining the first service and the consultation, there's going to be a lot of conversation. You can let your client know that after that, it's not going to necessarily be that much conversation, but I actually set a whole consultation service where the client's just coming in. We're spending a lot of time talking. I go through, I do a double cleanse, a skin analysis. And then I just finish the service right there with just some serums, some moisturizers, and then we kind of talk about their skin. This is really where you're going to get all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
And we know that clients don't tell us everything the first time they come in. I always say it takes about 3 services before you really start to get the details of what they're actually doing for their skin. So, but the more upfront you can be, the more questions you can ask, that you can find out like really what are they doing to their skin? What are their goals? And also educating them. This is, I think, the piece where you really need to explain to them. Let's say Stacy is my client and she comes in and she's working with hyperpigmentation. And she says, Michael, I want you to get rid of all these dark spots. Okay. What's your expectation, Stacy? How long do you think this is going to take?
Well, shouldn't it be done after this treatment?
So that's what clients think. Clients they want you to Amazon their skin. They want it overnight, right? And that doesn't happen. So one of the first things I teach in my consultation to all of my clients is cellular turnover. I teach a concept of how it takes on average about 30 days. And that's for somebody who's about 30 years old. If I'm working with a client who's 65, I'm going to tell them with their skin, it could take 2 months plus to start to work with this hyperpigmentation. What that does is that educates them on their skin. It sets the expectation that we can't do a one and done. It's going to take a couple months for this to work. And on the retail side, I explain to them that they have to be consistent with their home care for that month or that 2 months before they're really going to see amazing results. So during your consultation, not only, finding out their goals, what are they using on their skin, but the education piece is going to be really important with that. So do I charge for consultation? Yes. I have a consultation fee, but what I do with that is I will apply that consultation fee to their products. So that way, if they purchase products, that gets applied to that. Because I figure if I can get them to purchase products, they're going to come back, they're going to book a facial, they're going to start to see those results. And so just anything you want to add to this?
I would just say for my consultation, sometimes I get a lot of people who want to do a consultation like over the phone. And I say, no, you need to come in. But I created a service where it combines a quick kind of express facial treatment with a consultation. So this gives us enough time. The time I have set is 90 minutes, so we can really talk. You might find that you won't talk as much. Maybe you have a client who has been working with an esthetician. Maybe they just moved to your city. Maybe they've been using different home care. So it might be a quicker conversation, and you're able to get information you need in a quicker time frame. There might be some where it is more of an involved conversation trying to pull. But I found that worked really well for me because most of my clients wanted some type of treatment at the same time. Actually, in the same realm, I don't do a credit, but I do provide little mini products for them to utilize so they can get started. But definitely the consultation is amazing. It's a great way to really, really get the expectations, kind of set it in jest of wanting the expectations like for my treatment to be same day. But knowing kind of the time frame your clients have, if they're expecting like maybe they're getting ready for a graduation or for a wedding, what are their time constraints? And this also gets into the conversation too of how bought in they are to the services and treatments. Mm-hmm. Are they willing to spend and commit to 6 months of coming in to get treatments and also, purchasing home care if needed? So it really is a good eye-opening conversation, I believe, for your clients. Of course, not to scare them, but really get them to understand the commitment for the services.
Sam, what questions do we have on consultation?
So Tessa is asking, how much do you charge for the consultation?
So I will tell you, I never answer pricing for what you should charge, because we're going to kind of talk about that.
Yeah,
the whole slide on what you should charge, because it really depends on your area, where you're at, what you're providing, what you're doing. And so with pricing, we're going to talk about how to price, but you'd really want to kind of set based on your business model. Because if Stacy is doing a full treatment or a mini treatment and I'm just doing a consultation, I'm probably going to charge a little bit less than Stacy is. But with that, there's very specific things you want to build in. So we're going to get to that conversation on what to charge.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So at SkinScript, we have a ton of resources for you, especially for working with your consultations. If you're not familiar with us, you can sign up account for us for free. Mm-hmm. We have no minimums, but we have a ton of resources. Our motto is Estheticians Empowering Estheticians. So we give you a ton of free resources in our resource center. With your account, you have a client intake form that you can use, or you can take that and customize it. Mm-hmm. We have consent forms, Fitzpatrick forms, and then all of our protocols there. We really try to give you as much as to get you started at. So some of these basic forms you have here that we absolutely love.
Really great. All right, so let's talk about some of your treatments. So again, when we talk about, we've established a great relationship with our clients in the consultation, we kind of understand their goals. This kind of gets into that second bullet about purchasing too much product or purchasing too much equipment. This is just a good way to understand how best you can use your SkinScript product. So some tips we always would recommend to actually create a series, especially if you're doing more of kind of like a corrective type of series with your clients. Let's say you're focused on acne or you're focused on hyperpigmentation. When Michael mentioned about cellular turnover and about that time frame, these series of facials or even, let's say, advanced procedures like your chemical peels, these are typically going to be shorter services, and we really want to help speed up that cellular turnover cycle for your clients. So in cases we're lifting up and exfoliating out pigmentation, we're helping to treat acne. So if we get your clients to come in for, let's say, 6 to 8 treatments, this is a nice kind of bundle that you can provide for your clients. This also gets to those of you who feel you need to, I want to say decrease, devalue or discount your services. If you feel like you want something that's a little bit more cost effective for your clients without devaluing your services, your series, your programs, this is a really nice base just to kind of start off with.
And it builds loyalty, and they'll see results with this. Yes. Because if they're just coming in once a month, yes, that can be great, especially if you're doing relaxation facials. But if you're really targeting something over this treatment series, they're going to see that. They're going to become loyal clients. They're going to start referring out to you. Also with this series, that's going to fill up your books for a couple weeks. So if you've got a lot of clients who are on these series, you really don't have to worry about filling your books because you have them there.
You have them come in. Yeah. And then I would say oftentimes we get questions, okay, well, if I do a series and I'm charging X amount, in your head, you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I would pay for that. Get that out of your head. Because again, you're the professional, you're the esthetician. So you understand the work and the different things you're doing when it comes to the treatment. But oftentimes you might think, well, will the client choose between this series and their home care? I don't want those to suffer. So a good tip is to make sure your pricing includes your home care as well, especially if you're doing a series. That's a great way where your clients won't have to sacrifice and all of that's included. As Michael mentioned, if you're not familiar with SkinScript, we have a lot of great resources for you. We are a company where it is free to open up an account, and we also have no minimum. So if you just wanted to purchase one of our enzymes, one of our treatment masks, that is perfectly fine to do. So if you are someone who utilizes SkinScript, if you have heard of our limited editions, our seasonal duos, please put a hands up, some hearts in the chat, let us know. But we come up with seasonal duos, which are a great way not only to get products that are really created for that season to help with different skincare issues, maybe dryness, dehydration. And they also have a little theme when it comes to what's going on in the season. But these are great ways to provide a little variety within your treatment room, kind of switch things up in the treatment room for your clients. But again, you're delivering great results and great services. This is something you can promote as a monthly special. So you get that variety, you get people intrigued to come in like, oh, I want to try that on my skin. I want to see what that might feel like without having, again, to discount. They're coming in for the thrill of a different season. And then again, I would say, market your value when it comes to your treatment and don't discount it. We don't want you to do that. One thing about our products, so right here, we actually have, oh, you all can't see me.
I'll show it at the end.
Wait, we did have a question. We did have a
perfect.
question. And it was, how often do you recommend that they come in to do this series? Is it once a week, once a month?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's really going to depend on what type of service that you are creating, whether it's a chemical peel series or a facial. So in most cases, this could be something that's weekly, or it could be bi-weekly, depending on the client's skin tolerance and what actually you're doing within the treatment.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of times if we're working with acne, hyperpigmentation, we might have a client come in once a week for 6 weeks. We're hitting that one cell cycle. And again, as Stacy said, they're short 30-minute treatments. So that kind of brings the cost down a little bit. You're really focusing maybe on a quick cleanse. Then you're doing a quick skin analysis. You're really focusing on probably the exfoliation if you're working like with pigmentation. And then you're finishing up with kind of some serums and moisturizers. So it may not be a full facial, but you're really targeting at that. Or sometimes if you're using, if you're doing microneedling, that also could be spaced out a little bit more. So it really depends on what you're doing. But those little boot camps typically are going to be either weekly, bi-weekly, or if we're spacing out something, maybe monthly. That's a great question.
It's a very good question. Some additional things, we're going to get into it a little bit later when it comes to retailing, but oftentimes we think that retailing is a really big to do, a lot of pressure at the end of a treatment, especially when your client gets off the table, they're nice and relaxed, and you're like, so let me tell you about these products you can buy. We don't want you to position it that way. Oftentimes, the proof of everything that you are explaining to your client is literally in the service. So take opportunities to retail the solutions within your facial service. So as most of us know, most of our conversation is during that cleansing, the skin analysis, but these are great ways to kind of prep your clients about the solutions we have when it comes to retailing that we're actually utilizing within our facial protocols that they can utilize at home. So for example, let's say you're doing a skin analysis and you're noticing that your client is extremely dehydrated. You've talked to them about changing some of their habits. Maybe they don't need to go to the sauna every day. Maybe they need to increase their water, decrease, the caffeine, all of those things you mentioned, but you have a solution for them. You want to go ahead and mention that product within the service, as well as mention when you're actually using it. This helps them to really kind of align with how it's feeling, just the sensation of it. And typically they really enjoy that, and it makes it memorable. So they know that's something that they could do going on. One example quote for that is the cucumber hydration toner. I think this is a great way to kind of create that sensory experience where they're understanding the purpose it has for their skin and they're enjoying it as well. So.
And the smell, they'll remember the smell too. And it's important too, when you're doing your treatments, when you're retailing, when you're talking to your clients, listen to the words that they actually say to you. Your clients will tell you exactly how they want to be communicated to. You know, you'll have somebody who's talking about results. If Stacy's my client, she keeps saying, you know, I really am looking for these results. You want to be very direct with them. You want to tell them for these results, you're going to use the glycolic retinol pads every other night. So you want to be direct. If someone's really kind of sensory and they love the smells and the feels of it, that's where you definitely, as you're putting it on, you're telling them what the product is. And then later when you go to retail, that's where you could miss the cucumber and they smell it again and they remember it. You're going to have the clients who ask the questions. They want to know what's in it. They're ingredient focused. So when you listen to the words they use, they will tell you exactly how they want to be retailed too.
Yeah. They really do. I think those are just some good tips to kind of remember. One other thing I would say too is, I don't know if any of you have done this in the past, but one area where you won't feel as burdened with trying to retail something to a client and they don't feel burdened is maybe your clients need a full routine. Maybe you have 6 or 7 different products you feel like they would benefit from. Try to limit those when you're mentioning them at checkout. Maybe you can mention there are a few products that I think could benefit you, but today these are the most important. Think 2 to 3 products that you can recommend at the end of their service. And then that leaves it up to them as far as what they're willing to purchase at that time.
Yeah.
You might get a client who will buy everything, but at least it makes it where it's not an overwhelming kind of pressure-filled time frame.
And then creating these experiences that we have an ageless lip treatment that is phenomenal.
Amazing.
You can put that on the client's lips at the very end of the service. And the client will come out and they'll be like, what is on my lips?
Yeah.
And you have a little bowl right there, a little dish of them right at your checkout, and you show them. And it's just a quick little easy way to purchase that. Like we said, we have a golden honey hand treatment in our protocols that's in our resource center. Our golden honey nourishing mask is just a phenomenal mask. If you've used it before, give a little love there, put a little honey emoji. But this is amazing. We have a hand treatment that you can do with this. And this is one thing that you could do for new clients. So when I started, I would discount every other month. When I started as a massage therapist, I'd do like $10 off. Well, what that did was I was doing every other month $10 off. So my clients stopped coming monthly because they would wait for the special. And I was also devaluing my service. So they're thinking my services were worth less than. So instead of devaluing yourself, one thing you could do for like a new client special, referral special is this month come in and get a free golden honey hand treatment, $20 value. It's an add-on service, but we're going to give it to you as the special. So the client comes in, you do your facial, you give them this beautiful hand treatment. And when they're done, you haven't devalued, you've actually added value, because now when they come back, they're going to say, hey, Michael, I love that hand treatment. Can we do that? So that's an extra $20 now that I have there. I haven't devalued, I've added value. So figure out what are the types of things that you could do to add value. It could be a lip treatment, it could be an eye treatment. And then those are the things that the clients fall in love with, and you're not devaluing yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, this is a great way to utilize what you already have as well in your backyard.
Sam, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. I do want to say that recently I did a treatment on a client that she just moved to Miami, and I just did the green tea cleanser, and she was like, is that Skin Script? Because the smells are so unique, and it's like, it's Skin Script.
Yeah.
And then I will say too, when it comes to discounting, I mean, last year I struggled with that. And when I did discount clients, I noticed that those were the clients that kept asking for discounts after that. Like like I just set the standard for them. And then
you're training them for that.
Exactly. So couldn't agree more. But we have a few questions. Takesha says, I'm looking into products. What would you all suggest for me as a beginner in my relaxation facials and quantity? I don't want to overbuy.
Yes, this is really important because that's another mistake that I made when I started in the industry. I went with a line that had a minimum, and I ended up spending almost $2,000 on this back bar and retail, and almost all of it, half of it went to waste because I had no clients. So, if you're looking at lines, first of all, you want to look at a line with no minimum, of course. We have beginner bundles that are set up, and we have a bundle package that will allow you to do 48 facials for $305. It gives you all your core products, and that's really important. You want to start off very small, especially if you're just starting off, you don't have a lot of clients. Don't purchase one of everything. What are the core clients that are the core products that you need? And so here at SkinScript, we have these bundles that can help you out. We also have our customer service department. You can call, talk to a live esthetician, and they can help you with that. But start small, because as your practice grows, your focus might change also. So maybe you start off with relaxation and you have these wonderful products, but maybe you fall in love with acne and you start getting a lot of acne clients. Then you can start to bring in products for your acne clients. And so start off very small and kind of increase out that way. I think that would be the biggest tip for you. So, and you can check out those bundles on our website.
Jennifer says, can we use an enzyme every week on the same client? Example, the lemon zest enzyme.
Yes, you can. It just would be dependent on the client's tolerance. And then, of course, like what we're working towards. If we're working towards brightening and pigmentation, if we're looking at part of that series, we definitely don't want to get in a position where we're over exfoliating. But yes, our enzymes would be safe to use in a weekly time frame if the client's skin is kind of prepared for it and is tolerating it well.
And that's too where you may plan once a week and it works great. You may plan once a week and the client's coming in and you're noticing it might be too much. That's where in your skin analysis, you're going to pivot. And a good esthetician will have a plan going in, but you also kind of have to pivot depending on what does the skin tell you in that moment.
Always have a backup just in case.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll tell my clients like, oh, we'll plan for this next session, but that's kind of where intuition comes into play. So we kind of have to see where your skin is at. And I'll be honest with them about that. So I always say like there's an intuitive aspect to it as well. We had one more question. It's from Catherine. If someone buys a series of peels bundle package, would you price it as a discounted price?
You can kind of set the price. Again, this kind of goes up to what you're doing, but there will be usually some type of discount in there because, again, instead of doing a full facial, normally you're going to do a little, they might be a little shorter treatments, or maybe you're doing a series of microneedling. Maybe it's a package of 3 microneedlings. Yes, you're usually going to have some type of discount because they're purchasing it up front. You just don't want to over discount it. And what the discount could be also is it could be the products that you're including. So instead of discounting your actual treatments themselves, maybe that's where you're adding the value in by saying, okay, by purchasing this, you're going to get these 3 core products at a discount.
Right. That's like.
And how do you know? Oh, one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, great.
Go ahead. Then we'll move on because I know we're on. We have time limit. How do you know when to replace your back bar expiration dates? ?
Oh, that's a really great question. So for here at SkinScript, we always say you have about 1 year to use your products after opening. Just the key with anything, whatever line you're using, when you first use any product, put the date you opened it and you used it first. You usually have about a year with products. Now, if a product has a lot of vitamin C in it, vitamin C can oxidize a little quicker. So some products might have a little shorter shelf life, but always check with your manufacturers on that. But I would always just write the date, maybe with a Sharpie on the bottle or on the bottom of the bottle. So that way, you know when you first used it, because if you open it and, time flies, you may be like, I don't know. When did I buy this? Was this pre or post pandemic? So, gosh, time to throw them out if it was before. So really quick, just some retail tips. First of all, Find a line that you love. This is most important. If you don't believe in the line that you're using, you're never going to be successful with it. So find a line you love, learn their ingredients, learn the benefits, study the line and get to know it as best as possible. Here at SkinScript, we have a really wonderful training manual. We have monthly workshops that are in our learning center that you can watch. We try to give you as much information because the more you know about your line, the more confident you're going to be. You're going to be able to speak about it. We have also retail shelf talkers, which are really nice. Those are little cards that go with the product that you can, when you're retailing, if you get tongue-tied, if you forget what's in a product, there are little talking points right there that you can kind of look at to give you a reminder. Ask client expectations with retailing. This goes back to consultation. So you know what the client's looking for. And again, listen to the words that they're using because that's going to be your biggest clue on how to deliver that information back to them. Teach your clients about their skin. This is so important. If the client feels empowered, if the client understands the why, they're going to be more willing to hang in there with you through the hard times as their skin's going through the changes. And they're going to understand why you're recommending product. And it's not, I'm just trying to sell things. And that goes into teaching them that retail products are the key to change. You know, they have to be consistent. Change really does happen at home. You know, we help out in the treatment room, but it's really that change is delivered at home through consistency. If you educate, you never have to sell. This industry, I always say, is built on trust. Your client should trust you. I've had clients who have been with me over 20 years, and there's a lot of trust there. So they know when I'm recommending something, I'm not just trying to sell them something. I'm saying because this is what's going to be best for their skin. Don't assume, and this comes with price. Stacy mentioned this earlier, where we have our own set of values of what we think things are worth. And when you're setting your price, if you don't believe that you're worth whatever your facial is, that's the first thing you have to overcome because you're setting your own limitations. You're saying that, hey, this client doesn't believe that this serum's worth $50 or whatever it is. So never project your idea of price onto someone else because let them decide, is it worth it? Let them decide where they want to spend their money. No is not a bad word. We are all programmed at an early age to hear no from our parents, no from everybody. And so we actually have fears of hearing the word no. So when we go to retail, when someone says no to us, remember, it's not about us. It's not about you. It's them. It's maybe their budget. Maybe it's not right now. Maybe they have to take time to think about it. So hearing the word no is not bad. You just really need to get used to asking for recommending.
Right.
And then if you're having a hard time retailing, it's again, going back and looking, where am I being blocked with this with the retail?
Those are really good tips.
Sam, any questions on retailing?
Just a few more on protocols and back bar. So Takesha says, how should I purchase for back bar? And then Katie says where to find the hand treatment protocol.
Yeah. So for your back bar, again, if you're just starting off, I would look at our pro bundles. Our pro bundles have the back bar and all the products that you need to do your facials there. And those are going to start small. Like you could start off with our coconut papaya enzyme, our blueberry enzyme, and our cherry enzyme. And that will kind of target all your skin conditions. Same thing with our mask. You can do like our goji, our strawberry spearmint, and our golden honey. So you can, with three enzymes, three masks, you can kind of hit all skin conditions. And so if you have any questions on that specifically, feel free to give us a call or look on the website at those pro bundles. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
It was about the protocol. So when you log into your account, you have a learning center and a resource center. Within the resource center, you actually will see a drop down that'll list all of the protocols, a little drop down box, and you can find the body treatments that we mentioned. Quickly about our retail sample program. So I kind of hinted earlier with the consultation how I give many products. This is how I use my retail sample. So what's pretty cool at SkinScript is for every retail item that you purchase. So we talked about that green tea cleanser that Sam mentioned. Every time you purchase that retail size, you will get a free sample of that product. I want to say it's 0.5 ounces. Samples last for your client use up to 5 days. So they get a really great opportunity to really test it out, see how it feels on their skin. Now, when you buy the back bar size, you actually will get 4 for those retail products. So it's really nice. You get a great collection, especially if you are, purchasing a lot of retail. And how I use it, I actually create basically little home care routines for my clients. So when they come in for that consultation, I already have this is what your skin needs. Here's, 4 products for you to try: a cleanser, serum, moisturizer, SPF. Check back within them after a week, see how they liked it. This actually transitions to them saying, I actually really love it. Book me for an appointment. And let me go ahead and purchase those products too. So really, really great option for you. If you're looking to even maybe go out and network, maybe you're looking to go to some different marketing kind of networking business events, you can even purchase those little mini samples, which is really nice.
And two, if you're just starting off, having your retail display is great, but also that's money that you're spending and it's sitting on your shelves. Mm-hmm. So instead of purchasing a ton of retail and have it just sitting there and that money kind of going nowhere and no use for you, we here at SkinScript have what's called drop shipping. What you can do is if you're just starting off, instead of purchasing a lot of retail, what you can do is when your clients come in and they want to purchase retail products, you could have a few core products there for them. Mm-hmm. Or let's say Stacy wants a green tea cleanser. I can give her the sample of the green tea cleanser. She pays me for the full size. I order it and then I have it drop shipped directly to her. So she has the sample that's going to last her about 5 days. She gets it in the mail. And that way that saves me, the esthetician, from having to put out the money to have that green tea cleanser available. So the drop shipping is a really nice, convenient way that you can use our retail sample program. Mm-hmm. Two things that are really important to grow your business is number one is rebooking. This is so important. Stacy?
Yes, rebooking is extremely important. I would actually say I want my clients coming back in, and then we can ease in a little bit of those home care products if they're not ready to purchase. But this does, keep your calendar full. It is the ask, correct? Like what Michael mentioned. We cannot leave it up to our clients to go back on our website and book. One, we all know we are very quick to forget things. Forget we even made appointments. So you want to catch your clients right there. Oftentimes you'll get some clients who are really, really bought in, love everything, and they're already pretty much before they even pay. How can I rebook? When do you need me next? Those are the ideal clients. But you want to let the clients know, hey, just going back to what we talked about to see some of these results, I recommend you come back in 3 to 4 weeks. How does this date look for you? Leave it up to them. They might say, you know what, let me check my calendar, have a different calendar at home, and I'll get back to you. Or actually, yes, go ahead and put me down for the 25th. That'll work great. So you want to capture that now so we can get them in the routine. And this is a great way where when I think Sam mentioned her goal with client retention, you're not always in this position of, I need to market more, I need to do this. It's concentrating on those clients who are ready.
Plus the client, when they come out of the treatment room, they're in heaven. They feel great. They're relaxed. Their skin feels good. That is the moment they want to rebook that. So there's a psychological aspect of them wanting to have that feeling again and continue that feeling. So that's the perfect time to book them out there. Client referral program. This is how I built my business. Now, again, I started my business 22 years ago before social media even existed. Hard to believe, right? And so at that time, I was telling Stacey, I used to put ads in like the newspaper and magazines. That was how old school I am. But how I built my business was I realized really quick that when my clients loved me, they would tell people. And so I would refer them, I would give them a referral special. And so what I would do is I would give them the first time they sent somebody to me, I would give them a discount. The second time, I'd give them like a free product. The third time, I'd give them free service. And it sounds like, wow, a whole free service. But what happened is the clients who got that third referral and got that free service, they liked that. They liked not having to pay. So they would take stacks of my business cards. I had one client who referred over 50 clients to me.
Wow.
And I told that client, I said, for the rest of how long I'm practicing, you can come in once a month for a free service. You never have to pay again. Because that client was always telling people about me. And they're your biggest fans. They're your brand fans. So give them something, whether it's free services, free product. And so this is a really great way to grow that.
It really is. Yeah, client referrals are our best.
Yeah. Sam, any questions?
Let me see. I was writing down notes because this is really good.
I love it.
I think that SkinScript is answering them in the chat. They're pretty much like, where do I find protocols? Those sort of questions.
So we got our happy little elves in the back. And we just talked about drop shipping.
We did, yes. This is a great way, retailing made easy, like Michael mentioned. Don't feel like you have to stack your shelves if you're still, getting clients coming in. But this is a great way that's convenient to you and your clients. So if your clients need to order products, they're interested in purchasing products, they actually pay you directly. You just go onto your account, order the products, and then send them to your client's address. So really, really great. And also, you order more than $49, it's free.
Yeah.
Free shipping. So really great. We also have really fast shipping as well. I want to say on average within about 5 to 7 business days, typically like your order is sent out. So really, really quick processing times. But keep going. I was about to say, I also have a lot of clients, believe it or not, although Phoenix is growing a lot of people come and go and they move. Yeah. So I have a lot of clients who have moved away, but they still come to me for their products. Yeah. So it's a great way to keep in contact with your clients, even though they've moved away and have that.
That's what I was going to say. It can be really great passive income. Like Stacy, I have a lot of clients who moved, but they still purchase products from me. I have a lot of family members back east. During the pandemic, I used to do virtual consultations. And so I have clients who I've never met that I retail to. Right. So this can be a really nice way that you can kind of get some income rolling in and generate.
We do have a few questions.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay. So Brittany is asking, how did you track referrals? I've been interested in doing it, but haven't found a good way. And then Catherine says, what kind of discount would you give for the first referral?
So how I track, I just ask them, who referred you? Usually they'll know. Sometimes, like I just actually had a referral from a client. She's like, oh, my friend's friend told me about it, But what I do is I tell my clients about the referral program. And so my clients know about it. So they know if they refer somebody that they're going to tell me. You can also have little referral cards that they could give. That the person could write their name on. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Again, with your referral program, that kind of goes back to what is it that your business structure is. It could be a free add-on service. So maybe the first time is you get a $20 free upgrade. And that could be, a boost. That could be a hand treatment, something like that. Your next time they come in, it could be maybe you get a free product worth so much value, $40 value. And then that third time that they come in, that could be where they get the free service. Right. But again, whatever works best for your business model, you could structure it that way.
Yes. As far as getting the little referral cards, those are always nice. Some people still enjoy having those little cards. Maybe it's something you add on your intake form, just a line of where you referred or how did you hear about me. And then that might be a little more tracking for you, but a great way to get the information. All right. So you guys asked a lot when it comes to how much you should charge. So this goes a little bit too, even when talking about referrals, but how you're going to price your service. This is one area where a lot of people just think of a number. So when I first started, it was like, my prices, because money's not adding. Really, you want to do your research. So it is really important that you create a business plan. A lot of people think this is really daunting. It can be, but there's a lot of templates out there that you can find and make it easy. What this does is really help you be aligned with your goals and the vision you have for your business. But you also will be able to look at competitors, other people who are doing similar things to you, and see a nice model and see kind of what works. Remember, you have direct and indirect competitors. So what's nice within our industry, I think there are millions estheticians, and we're a nice community here. There are so many clients. Everybody has skin, so there's clients for everyone, everywhere. People who are going to like you. So when you see that word competitor, please don't look at it like a race, who's going to win. But this is a great way to just see, what are other people doing around me? What are some clients who are my clients, my ideal clients, looking for? What's attracting them? And you can kind of be in line or see what they're charging, and maybe what types of services that they're utilizing. This all comes into your research, where you can compare to what you're actually doing within the treatment room. We want to remember how you're actually positioning your brand. This actually goes into what you should charge. So if you are referring a bit more on referrals, maybe you are still doing some print ads, like Michael was doing.
Oh, I'm not doing it 20 years ago.
No, it's going to be much higher, right, price wise than what it was before. But what steps, what are you outputting when it comes to meeting that target audience? Social is amazing. There's some great organic ways you can market yourself, but you can also pay for ads on social media with Instagram, or, with your Facebook market, different things like that. But again, how you're positioning your brand, how you're kind of attracting clients, if that is taking money and time, are you outsourcing it? Those are things that you are going to consider when you're charging for your services. Experience. This one is where you want to be a bit humble. Okay, so if you've come in and maybe during your studies as an esthetician in school, maybe you really help to prepare yourself when it comes to acne extractions. You've gotten a lot of practice. Maybe you've worked under a few other people, or your results are just showing for themselves. Your experience and your results go a long way with how much you can charge. And it's a great way where people are looking towards your experience when it comes to booking with you. It also is going to vary where you actually live. This is why it's really hard for us to tell you how much you should charge for your service, because I don't know where you live. I don't know the market. I don't know if there's estheticians every other door where you're. I don't know those things for you. I don't know your experience. So if you are living in a metro town, maybe, New York City or LA, even Phoenix, Miami, very large metro areas, you might have a difference in the amount you can charge compared to being in maybe of a small suburb type of town. And then the biggest thing is your overhead. How many of you guys know what I mean when I talk about overhead? What that even means? Your overhead is not just your overhead has to do with a lot of different things to be considered. So, of course, your supply. So back bar is the main thing. So if you are spending a lot of money on your back bar, or if you are purchasing too much product, too much equipment, those all need to be accounted for when it comes to your service. I enjoy a good spreadsheet. I don't know you all. Maybe that's because of my degree in finance, but good spreadsheet. There are different ways where you can literally break down all the things you're utilizing in your service to come up with your overhead. Your enzymes, your mask, are you taking a little bit more of that amazing golden honey nourishing mask like I do? Yeah, my costs are going to go up. They're going to be a little bit more higher than the recommended usage for it. Are you using some fan brushes that maybe they're on the cheap side? Maybe you're having to purchase a lot more. Maybe investing in some nice Quality
Skin
fan
brushes.
Those are amazing,
By the way, we have the best fan brushes. If you've never used our fan brushes, purchase one and you will never use a
They
different
last
brush.
for quite some time. But this is a really good option to really take a moment to say or to look, man, I'm purchasing certain things like my comedone extractors or my fan brushes, and they're just not lasting long. So how long is it actually taking for me to use? So a nice calculation you can do is really determining the lifetime cost of some of your products, such as like your fan brushes, your comedone extractors, your equipment, and how many usage do you have of those? For example, a fan brush, 100 uses. That's on the low side, but maybe it'll end up costing like 3 cents every time you use it. That's gets very, very down detailed, but it's really important. Your linens, your sheets and towels, right? How many towels are you actually utilizing for each service? Your linens, your sheets, blankets, washing of those are all going to get into kind of your supplies. You can't forget about your consumables. So gloves, aesthetic wipes, all of those again have a cost. What's great again, just how you find out, well, how much is it to use one aesthetic wipe? Maybe you like to grab a lot. Are you using 10, 20, tossing them? These are a great way to be also a little bit more sustainable. And then of course your equipment. Sometimes we see a good deal of, a new microdermabrasion machine or a new microneedling pen, but we also forget, well, how much are those tips, right? Sometimes a tip could be maybe $25. So that is a cost that goes into your treatment as part of your overhead. Some additional things that we often forget is our rent. How much you're paying for your salon suite wherever you're practicing, that goes directly into your overhead. Do you have to cover utilities such as heat, air, water, electricity? That should be added and broken down into your service because you need to clear those expenses. You'll see this little spreadsheet off to the side, not spreadsheet, graph here, but are you setting enough money aside to pay your taxes? Sometimes we forget about that, retail taxes and just overall self-employment tax.
Are you paying yourself?
Are you paying yourself? That was the big one. Sometimes we'll do all of that and say, oh, my costs are nothing. My cost is like $30. So if I double that, right, do 100% markup, oh, I can do a facial for $60. Please don't do a facial for $60, especially if it's over. But this lets you know, man, my expenses might be a little higher than I thought, and I haven't even paid myself.
Yep.
This is how you can really understand everything that goes into creating the price for your service. It also will let you know, well, how much can I actually discount if needed if I am doing a package or a series. So it's a lot of information here. It's not to overwhelm you, but just so you can make sure you're looking at all aspects. But your full overhead really is going to be integral in understanding pricing and what you should actually charge. Are there any questions in the chat while we talk through that?
There aren't any questions about pricing, but I will say, like, I guess I have a question. Is there a specific percentage that you recommend that one should pay themselves? Because I feel like I've held on to like a lot of the money and I haven't paid myself this year because I'm a little nervous when taxes come around. Um, but do you have any suggestions for like how much percentage wise we should be paying ourselves?
So this will be my professional answer.
Okay.
Just based off what you mentioned, Sam, I would want to make sure you're talking to a tax professional because depending on how you set up your business, even if you haven't technically paid yourself, you might be taxed on that anyway, depending on how you set up your business. So definitely you want to talk to a tax professional. They probably could let you know a little bit more of how you set up your business and maybe what percentage you can actually draw out of. But that would be honestly the best bet. There are some little calculations you can kind of plug in with how much you want to pay, but definitely I would recommend paying yourself first. And
Yeah.
you have even booking software where you can do like little savings accounts. So it's kind of like a little percentage. I'm not sure, maybe that's what you've been doing.
Yeah, I talked to your tax advisor. You know, your tax advisor, your lawyer, these are people that you want to have. They're going to actually save you money. I know they can sound very expensive in the beginning, but they're going to set you up, your financial planner, because a lot of us who work for ourselves, we don't think about retirement. We don't think about 401k or what am I going to do with my business? What's my exit plan? Do I want to sell my business? Things like that. So having those team of people to help you and support you, yes, in the beginning, it might cost you money, but they're going to really save you money in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's a great question, Sam.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions? We're going to wrap up just a few little last things. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, as I said, we have estheticians here that will answer the phone. We have an amazing award-winning customer service team that you can call Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. They'll help you set up accounts. They can help you with any information that you need to get going. And as we said, we have no minimums and we have that phenomenal shipping available. But if you're not following us on social media, please follow us there. Instagram, TikTok. Sam, do we have any last minute questions? We're going to come back on camera here.
We don't have last minute questions, but after you guys are done, I'll like to announce the giveaway winner.
Oh, yeah. So you know what? If you want to go ahead and do that.
Okay, so the giveaway winner is Kim Ford from Autumn Glow Botanical. And
Awesome.
I'll be giving SkinScript your email. That way that they can give you your gift card. It's a $250 gift card.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
If you're new and you don't know what you need, call us. We'll help you
Yes,
with that. So, yeah.
Yes. And then do you guys want to wrap up? I mean, I can announce our next workshop as well. But if you
Yeah,
guys
go
have
ahead.
any So our next workshop is going to be, I wrote it down here. It's going to be February 19th at 11 a.m. and it's with Hale and Hush. And the topic of this workshop, awesome brand, is the sensitive skin specialist working with health challenged skin and building a focused niche. So we did do a podcast episode with them where we talked about working with oncology clients. So if this is something that you feel called to, then I would recommend coming to this workshop. And then, any last minute things, guys?
Oh, yeah, just a couple more things. Michael did mention if you do sign up with an account with us, remember we do monthly workshops where we do have live chats so you can chat with us. And then we also do some in-person training classes out here. So if you want it, if you're interested in coming out to Arizona, if you're not from here, we do have a new course called Crafting Your Signature Service, where some of those questions that were asked about, like what type of products I need, how to actually price it, we actually are going to get really in depth and have some space. It's a 2-day class, but you can always go to skinscript.com and see more on that calendar.
And then we're also at the trade shows. We have free classes at the trade shows. So stop by our booth, come say hi and see us. So we appreciate you having us, Sam. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Of course. And if you guys don't mind sharing about the desert collection, I know you just
yes.
We forgot about
now
that.
You can see us.
You can see us.
Go ahead.
So what we did this year is we created this desert collection. It is 4 seasonal, basically, enzymes and masks that come out, and they're all desert themed. We have a ingredient called the Red Rock Rose that is in all of these, and that basically helps to bring down inflammation in the skin. There's also seasonal complexes. We have these really amazing sensory mist sprays that you can utilize before and after your treatment to set the tone. We have a playlist on Spotify that goes with it, and then we also have some intention cards that come with it. Each of the duos, you get 4 intention cards, and so it's a really great sensory experience. The products are amazing, and this is just a really great way that you can utilize as a monthly special, as a quarterly special, while working on your client's specific skin conditions. So yeah, it's really amazing. Awesome. All the information's on our website.
Yes, and I will be emailing the replay of today if you guys, because I know the presentation is like very detailed. So, for example, the overhead, if anyone wants to go
Yeah.
back and watch, I'll be emailing it, I'll be giving it to SkinScript, and we'll be putting it on estheticianedit.com. And then we have a weekly podcast every Thursday and now monthly workshops. So I want to thank everyone for coming to our first workshop, and I want to thank SkinScript for being our first guest. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sam. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day.
Bye. Bye, guys.